Hi, welcome to Tips on Design Patterns. In this section, we are going to discuss tips on using design patterns in your existing code, further reading on the subject matter of design patterns in software, and finally, a quick recap or summary of the course that you just took. Tips on using design patterns in your code. In this video, we are going to discuss the simplicity of using design patterns in your code, adding design patterns to any project of any size, as well as using various design patterns within the same project or application. Although design patterns should be considered when initially thinking about the design of your application, this is not the only time that they can necessarily be used. It is very simple to add a design pattern into your code based on the need. Think about our application that we built, Kotlin Clothes. If our app started off as an application that simply created outfits, we would not have had a shopping cart component. However, if we later decided to add a shopping cart component, we could simply have done so using a singleton, since that is the fitting design pattern for the situation, and we could have just added it to our application just like we did in our code sample. Also, if we started off with a few different outfits, but then decided we want to add the chain of responsibility to provide us with the in-season outfit, just like we did in this course, we can easily do that at any stage in the development of the application. It does not necessarily need to be at the beginning stages of the design. If you go through sections 2 to 7 of this course, you can actually consider it as an existing application that we are adding a new component to, or modifying a component to, and doing so using a design pattern to make our code more extensible, maintainable, and testable at any stage in the development lifecycle. Adding design patterns to any project. Whether you're just starting off your project or you're working on a legacy application that's been in development for 15 years, there is always room for design patterns. Even if you're joining a new company or you're working at a startup or whatever the case may be, you can always add design patterns to your application. If you're still in the design phase, you should definitely use design patterns to have the best possible architecture in place, again, depending on the need, making future development easy to incorporate these design patterns. If you're adding a new feature or refactoring an existing feature, then design patterns should be used when appropriate, again, in order to make future development easier to incorporate. In this course, we learned design patterns with examples in Kotlin. However, even if you learn the design patterns with Kotlin examples, they can be used anywhere and with any programming language out there. There are even design patterns specific to certain languages, but those are outside of the scope of this course. However, the patterns that you do learn in this course can be used in any language. So just because we learn them in Kotlin doesn't mean you can't use them in Objective-C, for example, or Java or C#. As you learn design patterns and use them, with time, you will have them in the back of your mind and you will be able to recall them when the right situation arises. You won't feel the need to keep a dictionary, if you will, of the design patterns because you'll be accustomed to them and you'll know when to use them when the situation arises. Using various design patterns in the same project. As we have seen throughout this course, each design pattern serves a very specific purpose and solves essentially a single problem. As an example, the builder ensures that we have a safe object ready to use, and decorator allows us to add functionality without subclassing. Since this is the case, it is clear that we can and should use multiple design patterns within the same project if the need arises. As we saw in our app Kotlin Clothes, we can use a range of design patterns to solve multiple problems. So for example, if the problem is that we need a single instance of an object, we know we can turn to singleton. If we need to add functionality to a class, we know we could always use designer. And if we need to delegate object creation, we know factory is there to help us out. We can even use multiple design patterns within the same class. There really are no limitations. The only problem is when we try to use design patterns in situations where they are really not needed. Remember, we should keep our solutions as simple as they need to be and only add complexity as needed. Right now, you are likely eager to add design patterns to your applications, but try to learn as much as you can, and in time, Using design patterns will become second nature and you'll add them to your applications naturally.